Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. When you've been married for 12 years, you start believing there aren't any more surprises left. You know how she takes her coffee, what shows make her laugh, even the exact sigh she lets out when she's pretending to listen but really isn't. I thought I knew everything about my wife, Claire, until last week. I was in the kitchen, half dressed for work, toast burning in the toaster because I was scrolling through emails. That's when her text came through. Business conference extended, be home next week. No explanation. No call. Just a sentence that felt too clean. Claire never texted like that. She used emojis, hearts, little things that made me smile even after a long shift. But lately, even those had stopped. I stood there staring at the screen. My thumb hovered over the keyboard longer than I care to admit. Then I typed, almost automatically, "Don't rush. The divorce conference just started here." It was half a joke, half a wound that bled through my fingertips. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Just 3 words. "Please don't." And that's when my stomach dropped. For months, something had been off. Late meetings, whispered calls in the hallway, the new perfume she never wore around me. Every time I asked, she'd laugh and tell me not to be paranoid. "It's work, Ethan," she'd say. "You know how it gets during quarter end." I did, but I also knew Claire, and this wasn't her. That night, I poured myself a drink and sat in the quiet living room, staring at the framed photo from our 10th anniversary. The one where we're on the beach, arms around each other, her hair tangled from the wind. I tried to remember what it felt like to be that man, the one who believed love was enough to hold 2 people together. The silence in our house felt louder than any argument we'd ever had. The next morning, I found myself scrolling through our old messages, trying to find when things had shifted. There it was, about 4 months ago. Her tone changed. Fewer "I love you" texts. More "I'll be late." I'd confronted her once, casually, while she packed for another conference. "Claire, are you sure everything's okay?" I'd asked. She didn't even look up. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? That's the kind of answer that tells you everything. So now, sitting in that same kitchen with cold coffee and a phone that had gone silent again, I started to see the truth take shape. Maybe I'd already known it. I just hadn't wanted to give it a name. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house reminded me she wasn't there, and that maybe she didn't want to be. At 2 a.m., I opened her laptop. I'd never done that before. It wasn't my style. I believed in privacy, trust. But trust is only sacred until it starts feeling like denial. Her inbox was open. Work emails, flight itineraries, hotel confirmations, and then one message that froze me. Subject, "Can't wait to see you again." From Daniel W. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. The preview line said enough. "Last week was perfect. Counting days until we're in the same room again." I closed the laptop slowly, like it might shatter if I looked too hard at it. The thing is, when betrayal finally confirms itself, it doesn't come with fireworks or screaming. It's quiet. It's cold. It's the sound of your heartbeat realizing it's been beating for the wrong person. I didn't call her that night. I didn't yell. I didn't text Daniel. I just sat there, thinking about how love dies. Not in one big explosion, but in the slow suffocation of little lies. The next morning, I went to work. Same route, same traffic, same songs on the radio. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt familiar anymore. Later that day, I called my lawyer, not out of anger, but clarity. I told him I needed to understand my options. He said he'd draw up a preliminary separation plan and asked if I told her. I said no. That evening, while I was signing the initial paperwork at his office, my phone buzzed again. It was Claire. "Conference going great. Miss you." I stared at the message, my hands trembling slightly, and replied, "Don't rush. The divorce conference just started here." And 2 minutes later, the same pause, the same ache, came her reply, "Please don't." I haven't heard from her since. But that's not the end of the story, because sometimes silence says more than confession ever could. 3 days passed before Claire finally came home. No call, no text, not even a heads up from the airport. Just the sound of her keys in the door, like any ordinary evening. She stepped in, suitcase trailing behind her, eyes searching for something. Maybe an explanation, maybe courage. I was sitting on the couch, same spot I'd been in when she left. "Hey," she said softly, like she was testing the air. "Hey," I replied, setting my glass down. There was a silence that stretched between us like a cracked bridge. You could feel the weight of everything that hadn't been said. "I got your text," she whispered. "I figured," I said. "Didn't expect you to reply, though." She looked at me then, really looked. Eyes rimmed red, not from travel but from guilt. "Ethan, it's not what you think." I almost laughed. "You're right. It's probably worse." Her lips parted, but no words came out. She stood there for a second, then set her suitcase down and sat across from me. "It just happened," she said, voice trembling. "I didn't plan it. I swear." I leaned back, the old couch creaking under me. "Nobody plans to wreck a marriage, Claire. It just starts with tiny lies you tell yourself. That it's harmless, that you deserve a little excitement, that I won't notice." She flinched, eyes filling fast. "It wasn't about excitement. I just felt unseen, Ethan. You were always working. I was lonely." There it was, the excuse I'd rehearsed in my head 100 times. But hearing it out loud felt different. It wasn't anger that rose inside me. It was exhaustion. "I was working," I said slowly, "to build a life for us. For you. The house, the trips, the savings, that was me trying to make you happy. But maybe I forgot you didn't want things. You wanted attention." "I'm sorry," she said, the words barely audible. "I'm sure you are," I replied. "But sorry doesn't rebuild trust. It just fills silence." She reached across the table, but I didn't move. The space between us had turned into something permanent, like a scar that never fades, just dulls with time. "Who is he?" I asked finally. She hesitated, then said, "Daniel. He's in marketing. It started during last year's conference." I nodded slowly. So it wasn't just business being extended. It was the affair. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but I didn't look away. There was a time when her tears would have broken me. Now they just told the truth I already knew. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying because she'd lost the safety net of my forgiveness. "I ended it," she said. "Before I came home. I realized what I was losing." "Did you?" I asked. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you only realized it after I stopped being the man who'd wait around for explanations." She swallowed hard. "Can we fix this? Please. I'll do anything." I let the words hang there. They didn't sound like love. They sounded like fear, the kind people feel when they realize the consequences are real. "Claire," I said finally, "I'm not angry. I'm not even surprised anymore. I'm just done pretending this is love. You traded us for temporary excitement, and I traded my peace for the illusion of security. I think we've both had enough bad deals." She covered her face, sobbing quietly. After a long minute, I stood up and walked to the counter, picking up the envelope I'd left there. "These are the initial papers," I said. "You don't have to sign them today. Just know it's happening." She looked up at me through her tears. "Please, don't do this," she whispered. The same words she'd texted days ago. But this time they didn't shake me. "I already did," I said quietly. "You just weren't here to see it." I left the room then, not slamming doors, not shouting, just walking away from the version of myself that still believed love could survive without respect. That night, I slept for the first time in weeks. The kind of sleep that comes when your heart finally accepts what your mind has known all along. A few days later, she moved out. No big scene, no drama. Just boxes, movers, and silence. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if she's happy, if Daniel's still in the picture, if she thinks of me when she pours her morning coffee. Then I remind myself it doesn't matter, because peace isn't about knowing their ending. It's about owning yours. And mine starts here. In a quiet house with no texts that make my stomach drop, no waiting for someone who's already gone. I don't hate her. I don't even wish her pain. I just wish her truth. Maybe that's what real closure sounds like. Not revenge. Not forgiveness. Just acceptance. Because when she said, "Please don't," she was really saying, "Please, don't become stronger without me." But I did. And that's something no conference, no affair, no apology could ever undo.